So podcast, I would say, has always been on the mind for us. It's always been a bit on the back burner. And we thought, okay, when we get through a bunch of things, then we'll focus on the podcast. And we were running a lot of events, like doing webinars. And that's been a very effective strategy for us for a very long time. And for us, at the same time, it was coming at a point where we were trying to think of how we can strengthen the current ecosystem that we had in terms of being able to drive and also nurture our audience in a more sustainable way for the long term, which was always the intention of what the podcast was meant to be about, and get them to the point that they can really get to know the energy of Christina and I, and also be able to receive some of the things that, we teach on a more mass scale through the podcast platform. I'm just going to add there that I was actually at the time tinkering a lot with some DIY possibilities to simply do it. And I've seen the DIY versions and I know it can be done. But having seen what was possible through watching Pete launch his podcast and knowing him and knowing the type of caliber and the quality of what is going to come out. And obviously, both Christina and I, we also know Rob really well, and we know the amazing work that he does in terms of story extraction. I mean, for us, it just felt like we would be doing us an injustice to not launch it in this way when we know someone who is just so amazing at it, and it would be able to create like this, beautiful, polished asset that could really just support our business in the right way.
Honestly, I feel like it was just showing up. I mean, yes, of course, there is the setup of the microphones and the setup of the room itself. Poor Matt had to help me set up my room a few times because I literally didn't have enough furniture for the echo not to exist. And so there was mattresses on the wall, things like that, people maybe behind the scenes don't even realize this is happening. I had 2 mattresses on the wall and people were coming into that room that we recorded it in. And we're like, what are you doing? It's like, it's a podcast studio, temporary, okay? So these are the things that maybe sometimes are not thought about. But yeah, besides that, which honestly, Matt did a wonderful job in just guiding and supporting and giving alternatives to, things that you wouldn't necessarily think of. Like I said, a mattress on the wall if you have a spare one kind of lying around. But it was honestly, the boys just allow you to show up and just be yourself. And we came out of the conversation going, oh yeah, that's just a normal everyday conversation of Ange and I. And if anyone ever listened to the two of us just talk, then they would hear that. But they captured it and they were able to break it down. And we both kept on going, how did all of that come out? Because it was honestly one of the smoothest processes that has been done for you in a sense, that you really can just come and have a cup of coffee. And at the end of that coffee session, you have this wonderful podcast that has just been natural and it's been organic, and the boys have an ear for it that's just amazing. You can see why they've gone into business to do this.
It felt really strange for me to let go of that control completely. But at the same time, having been through Pete's podcast process where he does the interviewing and kind of drawing out the story, I knew that this wasn't going to be your typical process where you feel like you would need to intervene more than necessary. You can just kind of release yourself. So there was this deep trust in the fact that we were in the hands of professionals and knew what they were doing. So I remember when Pete first sent the link to say, well, this is where you schedule your kickoff call. I'm like, do we need to prepare anything? Do we need to come up with a name? Do we need to think about what the podcast is about? It's like, nope. Just show up. You. Like, what? So it felt really, really strange to just release. But again, like I said, there was a deep trust in the team that we were working with. Yeah, we just kind of knew that if we let ourselves go, that something magical was going to be created. And that's what they did. So honestly, I felt like it was just you were sitting in the back of a luxurious limousine that is taking you to the most amazing night out that you can possibly imagine. And you don't have to think of anything because all the details are already thought of. Someone else has done all the planning, and you can just sit back and enjoy the ride.
a lot of what we do is based on love. It's based on care. It's based on that relationship we have with each other, and how that relationship then extends to the people we work with and become more than just coaches, more than just consultants. It's a partnership. It's a real, true partnership that we create with our clients. For someone to trust you to go into partnership with you, they have to know you. And because of that, we wanted to create this space where they could literally just get to know us. And I think that's what we've really created here, is that place for someone to get to know us in the intimacy of a headphone or their radio or whatever it is that they're playing from, and then choose, do I like the girls enough to do anything further or not? Do I trust them enough? Do I understand them enough? And I think that's what Pete has really helped us create.
And that has also built a lot of trust. So we've actually had clients come through by listening to our guest episodes on other people's podcasts. I guess for us, it was just, okay, well, if we were to bring this onto our own platform and do this like more as a structured piece of our overall ecosystem and strategy, what would that enable in our business? But also, what would that enable in terms of amplifying that trust on a greater level? You know, at the end of the day, Christine and I were limited by the hours of the day, and we work a 16-hour work week. So there's only a number of one-on-one conversations we can have. So what if we would be able to amplify that ability to reach more people through what feels like the intimacy of a one-on-one conversation, but not necessarily in a way that is non-scalable through time, through our actual time?
I think if you are in business and you want your audience to feel what it's like to be in business with you, this is a must. It's not even a joke to try and do something else, or another lead magnet, or another website, or change your logo. Honestly, before you do any of that, just go through these couple of hours with the boys and enjoy it. Like Ange said, enjoy the ride, because there's something that'll come out of it that you just cannot do on your own. They were sound off basically on round one. They did a cut, they did a version.
One version, done.
One version, and they said, do you like it? And we were like, don't change a thing, it's perfect.